What if I told you the difference between the life you have and the life you dream of is just 1%? Not 100, not 50, just 1. 1% of effort, 1% of courage, 1% of change. Every morning, you see, greatness doesn't strike like lightning. It builds like a storm, quiet, consistent, relentless. And it always begins before the world wakes up. So while others hit snooze, you rise. While others scroll, you build. This is where winners are made. Not in one grand leap, but in daily inches. 1% at a time. What if I told you the difference between where you are and where you have known you could be is just 1%, not a miracle, not a breakthrough, just one intentional shift every single morning. That's all it takes. 1% of courage, 1% of clarity, 1% of action. Compounded over time, repeated without compromise. Because change isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's about creating the right momentum. And that starts before the world even opens its eyes. Your morning is not a gap between sleep and responsibility. It is the launchpad of who you're becoming. You don't rise at dawn because you have to. You rise because greatness doesn't negotiate with comfort. Because the moment you open your eyes, you're faced with a choice: repeat yesterday or build tomorrow. And the first hour is where that decision is made. That 1 hour, unguarded, unfiltered, is pure opportunity. Use it recklessly, and life slips by unnoticed. But use it with purpose. You shift everything. Think about what that really means. The first 60 minutes of your day are not just minutes. They are a mirror of your discipline, your desire, your direction. They tell the truth about who you are, without excuses. That moment when you choose to read instead of scroll, that's 1%. When you move your body, when you stretch your mind, when you choose presence over autopilot, that's 1%. And while the world's still sleeping, still stuck in yesterday's chaos, you are crafting an edge. A mental edge, a physical edge, a spiritual edge. You're stacking wins before most people even open their eyes. And that consistent act, day after day, becomes your advantage. It becomes your power. You're not just waking up, you're leveling up. One morning at a time. That's the part people miss. They think transformation is loud, they think it's sudden. But the real work, it's silent, it's early, it's repetitive. 1% improvement doesn't shout, it whispers, it builds. It doesn't knock you over with progress, it makes you earn it with quiet, consistent action. And that's what makes it powerful. Because while everyone else is looking for shortcuts, you're doing the reps, quietly, relentlessly. No applause, no spotlight, just purpose. You don't need validation when you've got vision. And that vision shows up every morning when you do. This kind of discipline doesn't just shape your habits, it sculpts your identity. Because who you are becoming is hidden in what you choose when no one is watching. And let's be honest, there will be resistance. Your mind will fight you. It will tell you that you're tired, that you've done enough, that you can skip today and still be okay. But you didn't come this far to be okay. You came to be exceptional. And exceptional doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't entertain excuses, it confronts them. Head on. Every time your mind pushes back, you push harder. Because discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. You don't need motivation when you've built momentum. You don't chase the feeling, you chase the standard. And every morning you rise 1% higher. You raise that standard until your old self can't even recognize you anymore. And that shift, that inner war you win before breakfast, it echoes into every decision, every conversation, every goal. People start to feel something different in you. Not because you tell them, but because you show them through your energy, your clarity, your presence. That's the ripple effect of 1%. You stop reacting to life and start leading it. You stop shrinking to fit spaces that don't deserve you, because you know exactly who you are and exactly what you're building. This isn't a quick fix. This is your evolution, brick by brick, day by day, 1% every morning, not for attention, not for applause, but for alignment with the person you were meant to be. And here's the truth most people never grasp. Your transformation isn't just for you. Someone out there is waiting on the version of you that shows up with fire, focus, and follow through. Someone is waiting on your courage to rise so they can rise too. Your consistency doesn't just shift your future, it gives others permission to believe in theirs. That 1% you gain every morning, it stacks into influence. It becomes impact. You become the proof that change is possible. That effort is worth it. That slow growth still wins. And in a world addicted to instant gratification, you become the rare force that plays the long game. You become the kind of leader this world desperately needs. One who doesn't speak about change. One who lives it. Discipline is the invisible force behind every extraordinary life. It's not glamorous. It doesn't make headlines. But it delivers results every single time. The power of improving yourself by just 1% every morning lies in the discipline to show up. Even when no one's watching. Even when no one's clapping. Especially then, because consistency beats intensity when intensity gets tired. Think about it. Anyone can go hard for a week, maybe 2. But the ones who win, the ones who last, they've mastered the art of small, daily victories. They understand that 1% isn't about doing something dramatic. It's about doing something deliberate. When you choose discipline over comfort, you plant seeds of greatness. And if you do that every morning, without fail, eventually, you grow a life so strong, no storm can shake it. But let's get one thing clear. This isn't about motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It fades. It shifts with mood, weather, energy. Discipline is a decision you make before the emotion shows up. It's waking up when your body wants more sleep. It's opening that book when your mind wants to scroll. It's going to the gym when your excuses start sounding logical. And in those moments, when you push past resistance, you're not just winning the morning. You're training your identity. You're telling yourself, I am the kind of person who shows up. And the more you do that, the more powerful that identity becomes. This is why the 1% rule is so powerful. Because small, consistent actions build a self-image of resilience, of grit, of unshakable focus. Over time, this consistency creates compound momentum. Think about it like interest. On day 1, the change is almost invisible. You might wonder if it's even worth it. But on day 30, 60, 90, you're sharper, stronger, more grounded. Your thoughts are clearer. Your reactions more controlled. Your energy more stable. And people start to notice. Not because you're bragging, but because there's a shift in how you carry yourself. That's the compound effect in motion. That's what 1% daily growth creates. An undeniable transformation. But you only get there if you're disciplined enough to keep going when the results are still hidden. And most people quit there, right before the change shows up. They give up because they don't see the payoff fast enough. But not you. Not if you commit to the process with everything you've got. And here's the truth. Discipline doesn't mean doing more. It means doing what matters. Repeatedly. It's easy to get distracted by productivity myths. To think you need to pack your mornings with 10 habits, 5 tasks, 3 routines. But real growth isn't about how much you cram in. It's about how deeply you commit to a few key actions that move your life forward. Read the right book. Move your body. Center your mind. Visualize your day. That's it. 4 things done with full presence can change your life more than 40 things done halfway. The 1% improvement rule is about clarity. It's about eliminating noise and locking in on what fuels your evolution. Discipline helps you strip away the distractions until only what matters remains. But don't mistake simplicity for ease. Discipline will challenge you. It will test your patience. There will be mornings where everything in you wants to quit, where your mind plays tricks on you, telling you that one missed day won't matter, that you deserve a break, that nothing's changing anyway. That voice, it's not truth. It's your comfort zone trying to pull you back. And you have to shut it down. You have to answer it with action. Because every time you do what you said you would, despite resistance, you reinforce your power. You build a body of evidence that you can rely on yourself. And that's self-trust. It's the foundation of confidence. Confidence doesn't come from compliments. It comes from consistency. From the promises you keep with yourself. That's why 1% matters so much. Because it's manageable, it's doable, and it's transformational if you respect it. If you honor the process and stop looking for shortcuts, you'll build the kind of inner strength that can't be shaken. You'll no longer need to talk about discipline because your life will speak for you. People will feel your presence, your momentum, your edge. And they won't understand how you got there. But you will. You'll know it was the 1% you earned every morning. The choices you made when no one was looking. The quiet victories that became your identity. And it all started with a decision. A decision to stop waiting for change and start becoming it. 1%. Daily. Without apology. Without excuses. Without looking back. Excuses are the most seductive form of self-sabotage. They sound rational. They sound protective. They even feel comforting. But underneath every excuse is the same brutal truth. Fear. Fear of discomfort. Fear of failure. Fear of becoming someone your current self doesn't recognize. And so we reach for the same phrases. I don't have time. I'm not ready. I'll start tomorrow. But let's be honest. You do have time. You just haven't prioritized. You are capable. You just haven't committed. And tomorrow is the safest place to hide from the life you say you want. It lets you delay your potential without guilt. But every time you make an excuse, you trade progress for comfort. You choose stagnation over transformation. And you give up the one thing you actually controls effort. There's nothing harmless about excuses. They aren't just little slips of weakness. They are full-scale attacks on your momentum. Because excuses don't come alone, they come with patterns. A skipped workout becomes a skipped week. A missed morning becomes a missed month. And before you know it, you're not just off track, you're starting over. Again and again. That cycle becomes exhausting, not because you're incapable, but because you've trained your mind to negotiate with your goals. You've built a habit of escape instead of a habit of execution. But habits can be broken. They can be rewritten. It starts with recognizing the lie for what it is. A voice built from past failures, not future potential. That voice doesn't know where you're going. It only remembers where you've been. And if you let it guide your choices, you'll live a recycled version of the same unfulfilled life. What people forget is that excuses aren't just about actions. They're about identity. Every time you let one slide, you send a message to yourself. This is who I am. Someone who doesn't follow through. Someone who folds under pressure. And even if that's not who you want to be, your brain records the data. It files it away. And slowly, your self-image shifts. Not because you aren't talented, but because you've stopped trusting your own word. That internal trust is everything. It's what makes you walk taller, speak louder, try harder. And once it's broken, it takes work to repair. The only way back is action. Small, consistent, deliberate action. The kind that shows your mind, I do what I say I will do, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. This is why the 1% improvement every morning matters so deeply. Because it gives you a chance to reclaim your power before the world has a chance to steal it. Before the emails, the chaos, the noise, it's just you and your decision. Will I choose discipline today, or will I hide behind the same old story? That's the fork in the road you face every morning. And the power of starting your day with intention is that it strengthens the part of you that chooses growth over comfort. One small win at the start of the day makes it easier to stack another and another, until eventually those wins form an identity that doesn't need excuses, because it's grounded in action. It's built on proof, not promises. When you eliminate excuses, you unlock clarity. Suddenly, the fog lifts. You realize it was never the world holding you back. It was you. Your fears, your laziness, your unwillingness to be uncomfortable. And that truth, it stings. But it's also the most liberating realization in the world. Because if you're the problem, you're also the solution. You don't need anyone's permission to rise. You don't need the perfect conditions. You don't need another pep talk. You need to decide. Decide that your excuses are no longer welcome in your life. That your growth means more than your comfort. That your future deserves better than your hesitation. That kind of clarity can cut through years of wasted potential in seconds. And here's the thing. Once you start calling out your own excuses, something powerful happens. You stop tolerating them in others. You raise your standards. You attract people who move, act, lead. Because you do. Your discipline becomes contagious. Your clarity becomes magnetic. And suddenly, the world starts to reflect the effort you've been putting in quietly every morning. But none of that happens until you stop letting yourself off the hook. The world doesn't need another person full of potential and paralyzed by fear. It needs you. Awake, alert, unchained from the narratives that once held you back. And that all begins with one decision. I will not allow my excuses to define my limits. True identity isn't built when the world is watching. It's forged in solitude, in silence, in those sacred moments before anyone else is awake. That's the truth no one talks about. People want to be seen, validated, and recognized. But they don't realize that the most powerful version of themselves can only emerge when no one is clapping. The 1% improvement every morning isn't just about habits. It's about who you're becoming when no one is looking. It's waking up early, not because someone expects it, but because you expect more from yourself. It's doing the work in private that the public will one day admire, but only if you stay consistent when no one's giving you credit. The person you're meant to be doesn't show up by accident. They are sculpted in the quiet, chiseled by repetition, and strengthened by choices no one else will ever see. When you are alone with your thoughts, there's no performance. There's no pretending. You're faced with the raw version of yourself. Your desires, your fears, your excuses, your truth. And in that space, every choice you make either reinforces your power or weakens it. That's what makes those early morning moments so sacred. There's no one to impress, no likes, no comments, just your reflection, just the truth. And when you choose to show up anyway, when you choose to improve yourself by just 1% in that silence, you're not chasing success. You're becoming alignment. You're choosing to live in integrity with the person you claim you want to be. That alignment doesn't come from talking. It comes from action. Repeated, boring, quiet action that no one will celebrate until one day they will. There's something unmatched about the confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself in private. Not the kind of confidence that screams for attention, but the kind that radiates without explanation. The kind that makes you walk into a room and not need to announce your worth, because it's already written in how you carry yourself. That's what the 1% rule builds. Every morning you show up, every time you stick to your commitment, when it would be easier to quit, you're building inner equity. You're stacking quiet wins. And those wins compound into belief, not in hype, but in evidence. Because nothing speaks louder to your identity than the receipts you collect when no one else is watching. That's where unshakable self-trust is born, in the dark. Before the world sees your light, you can't fake this. You can't cheat your way into it. You can look the part, talk the part, post about the grind. But if your private rituals don't match a public image, the foundation will crack. That's why the ones who last aren't the loudest. They're the most anchored. And anchoring doesn't happen in noise. It happens in stillness. When you consistently wake up and put in that 1% before life demands your attention, you're anchoring your values. You're telling the world, this is who I am, regardless of who's watching. That quiet integrity is rare. It's powerful. It makes you immovable. Because once you've proven to yourself that you'll do the work whether or not there's a spotlight, you stop needing one. This is how you create identity from the inside out, not borrowed from others. Not dependent on titles, status, or external approval. Your identity becomes rooted in discipline, forged by repetition, and validated only by your own reflection. That's the most dangerous kind of person in the best way. Someone who doesn't need noise to know they're powerful. Someone who doesn't wait for a stage to perform. Someone who's rehearsed in the dark so many times that when the light finally hits, they're ready. The 1% every morning is your rehearsal. It's the process of becoming undeniable, one small action at a time. And that identity, once built, doesn't crumble under pressure. It thrives in it. That's why solitude isn't something to run from. It's something to run toward. Because in that space, when it's just you and the quiet, you meet your real self. And for most people, that's a terrifying encounter. But for you, it's the birthplace of strength. It's where you stop being who the world told you to be, and you start becoming who you were always meant to be. It's in the silence that you discover what you're really made of. It's where the noise fades, the fear falls away, and only truth remains. And if you dare to face that truth every morning, even just for a few minutes, you will emerge sharper, stronger, and more certain of who you are than most people ever will be. Every morning, the battle begins before your feet even hit the floor. It's a war between the part of you that craves growth and the part that clings to comfort. Between the voice that says, "Get up, you've got work to do," and the one that whispers, "You've done enough." This inner fight isn't rare. It's daily. And if you're serious about transforming your life, you have to stop expecting the resistance to go away. It won't. Your mind is wired for survival, not success. It will always choose what's easy, what's safe, what's familiar. But you weren't built for easy. You weren't meant to live at half capacity. That battle inside you, it's not a sign of weakness. It's proof you're standing at the edge of your next breakthrough. And the only way to win it is to stop negotiating with your limits. If you keep waiting for it to feel good, you'll never move. Growth rarely feels good at the beginning. It feels foreign. It stretches you in places you've protected for years. But that's how you know it's working. The discomfort is evidence that you're stepping beyond your programming. When you push through the friction, you train your mind to stop flinching at difficulty. Every time you wake up and do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, you're rewiring your brain. You're showing it that you're in charge now. And the more you do that, the quieter the resistance becomes. Not because the challenge disappears, but because you've grown stronger than your excuses. There's a reason successful people always talk about mindset, because it controls everything. You can have the tools, the plans, the vision. But if your mind isn't trained, it will sabotage all of it. That's why the first 1% of your day is so critical. It's when you confront the most dangerous opponent you'll ever face, your own thoughts. Left unchecked, your mind will default to patterns. Patterns that keep you small. Patterns that keep you comfortable. But if you start your day by taking command, through meditation, reading, journaling, movement, you're interrupting the autopilot. You're reminding your mind that it serves you, not the other way around. That's how you build mental sharpness. That's how you stop reacting and start leading. It's not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming resilient. Resilience means doing what's right even when it feels wrong. It means acting in alignment with your values, not your mood. Your emotions are real, but they're not reliable guides. You might feel tired, but you're not incapable. You might feel unmotivated, but you're not unworthy. That's where training your mind comes in. You build the skill of separation, the ability to distinguish between what you feel and what you know you must do. And when you master that, nothing can shake you. Because now you're no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You've become the one who decides. And that kind of power, that's where freedom begins. Discipline isn't just a habit. It's an identity. It's a decision you make every morning. This is who I am. And that identity doesn't need hype. It doesn't need someone else's permission. It's rooted in ownership. You're no longer waiting to be saved from laziness or rescued from distraction. You're not outsourcing your success to luck or timing. You're claiming it. Every time you push through mental resistance, you're planting a flag in your own mind. I run this. And over time, your mind stops resisting so hard. It starts to cooperate. It starts to believe. Not because you told it to, but because you showed it. Through action. Repeated, undeniable action. That's the power of showing up for yourself at the start of each day. You turn the internal fight into a proving ground. A space where you take control back. Where you stop letting fear, doubt, or past failures dictate your next move. And the more you do it, the more your mind becomes your ally instead of your enemy. It starts to anticipate progress instead of fear it. It starts to crave challenge instead of avoid it. That kind of mental shift doesn't happen overnight. But it does happen. Slowly. powerfully. And it always begins with the decision to stop letting your feelings run the show. Because once your mind is trained, there is nothing you can't overcome. You were never meant to be average. The world might try to convince you otherwise, might push you to fit in, to tone yourself down, to shrink so others feel comfortable. But deep down, you know you are born to rise, to lead, to make noise with your impact, not just your voice. And here's what most people miss. The 1% you give every morning isn't just about personal growth. It's about unlocking your power so you can be a force for others. Because someone out there is watching you right now. Not your success, not your highlight reel, but how you show up in the struggle. They're watching how you rise on the days you don't want to. How you stay disciplined when no one's watching. Your example is someone else's evidence that it's possible. That's the weight you carry. And that's the gift you give by becoming undeniable. When you improve yourself by 1% every morning, you're not just building a routine. You're building permission. You're showing the people around you, your family, your team, your community, that it's okay to want more, that it's okay to demand more from life and from yourself. We live in a world that praises comfort and calls it happiness, that worships average and calls it balance. But you know better. You've felt the burn of playing small. You've tasted the regret of choosing ease over effort. And now, you've decided to rise. Not once, not someday, but daily. And every time you make that decision, you give others the strength to make it too. Without saying a word, you shift the standard around you. You lead. Not through speeches, but through consistency. The greatest influence doesn't come from those who talk the most. It comes from those who leave the truth the loudest. And truth, in its purest form, is action. It's what you do when no one's clapping. It's who you are when there's no feedback, no recognition, no reward. That's why the 1% rule is so transformational. It teaches you to detach from results and fall in love with the process. And that mindset becomes infectious. People don't follow words. They follow energy. And there's nothing more magnetic than someone who moves with quiet conviction. Someone who shows up before the lights are on. Someone who holds the line when it's easier to break. That energy shifts rooms. It reshapes cultures. It raises expectations without ever needing to demand them. Your commitment to your own growth also changes what you tolerate. The more you rise, the less comfortable you are with people who choose excuses over execution. That's not arrogance. It's alignment. You start to crave depth over distraction, substance over surface. You stop entertaining conversations that keep you stuck and start creating connections that pull you higher. Your morning discipline rewires your standards, not just for yourself, but for everyone you allow into your space. And that's important. Because transformation doesn't just come from what you do. It comes from what you stop allowing. From what you walk away from in order to protect your focus, your energy, your mission. The 1% rule isn't just a habit. It's a filter. A way of deciding who and what gets access to your growth. And the impact of your discipline doesn't just ripple. It multiplies. People see the shift in you. They may not understand it at first. Some might even resist it. But eventually they'll feel it. Your presence will feel different. Your tone, your choices, your priorities, everything starts to shift. And that shift creates space for others to grow too. That's how legacies are built. Not through grand speeches, but through small, repeated acts of greatness. Through the invisible choices that add up until the results become undeniable. You don't have to preach discipline. You just have to live it. Let your morning routine do the talking. Let your energy speak volumes. Let your transformation be the invitation. That's what makes the 1% lifestyle so powerful. It's not about becoming better than others. It's about becoming so grounded in your mission that you elevate everyone around you. You become the proof that change is possible. Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, your life becomes a mirror for someone else's breakthrough. Your effort becomes someone else's inspiration. And it all started with a choice. A quiet, consistent, unglamorous choice to wake up, improve, and dive on every morning 1% at a time. Not for praise, not for attention, but because you know what's at stake. You know that the world doesn't need another person playing it safe. It needs you. Fully awake, fully alive, fully committed to becoming the person you were born to be. So now you know, this isn't just about mornings. It's not just about habits or motivation or routines. It's about ownership. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for change. They create it. 1% at a time. Every morning. No excuses. No drama. Just relentless, quiet commitment to the person you're building. Because one day, you'll look in the mirror and realize you didn't just improve your mornings. You redefined your entire life. And it started with one choice of rise.